Everyone, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is February the 18th. It's a Wednesday today. Overall markets gapping up here in the pre-market just into a key level of resistance. So really the game plan coming to market open, we'll keep an eye out on key levels that we marked out yesterday, since those levels are very valid coming into market open. We'll talk about the game plan here in a second. We're going to go over all the major indices. We'll end up going on to some of these tech names. Before we do that, good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Cosmic, B Roots. Good morning, Victor, Hannah, Cody, Andreas, TW. Good morning, Under, I Am, Deuce, Juan, Robert, Cinna, Lamit, KO, 50, Gerald, Big Up. Good morning, Deuce. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys were able to capture some downside movement yesterday. Right off the bat, we kind of talked about the game plan coming into yesterday. We were looking for that pop and fade on the overall markets. End up having a nice pop and fade on the SPY and Qs, NVIDIA, AMD, and NVIDIA, AMD, and Tesla all moved nicely towards the downside right off the bat yesterday. So hopefully you guys were able to capture that one. Overall markets end up bouncing. We'll kind of talk about that moving forward, as I mentioned, for the key levels and what we're expecting the market. So coming into market open. Before we do that, let me pull up the economic calendar for today. We do have FOMC minutes, which is going to be key. So coming into today, so as you can see here, I have the economic calendar pulled up. What we have here is FOMC. Oops. So as you can see right here, coming to market open, we do have FOMC. It's not the FOMC statement. It's going to be FOMC minutes, but that is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's what we have for the overall markets today. As for tomorrow, we have some more news, which is going to be unemployment at 8:30. And then on Friday, we have a decent amount of red folder news, as I mentioned, core PCE. And then we do have that flash services, which is at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's what we have for the economic calendar coming into market open. Now let's head on to the charts to see exactly what we're looking for coming into market open. Let's first start off on the major indices. Let's first start off on the ES. So yesterday, we end up having this nice pop and fade towards the downside. Key levels that we have marked out was really our last week's lows. As you can see, overall buyers kind of stepped in right off our Friday's lows of last week. And now we're getting this nice push back up and towards our Friday's highs. So nice kind of bounce here on the ES, on the NQ as well. And now we're just back at this level right here, which is our 68.90. So moving forward, the key level here is just going to be the reaction that we have off our Friday's highs today. If we can get above our Friday's highs, which is our 68.90, we can see a potential move up and towards our 69.30. If we end up rejecting off this level, we can see this push right back down in towards the middle of the range, which is our previous day close, and potentially back down in towards the bottom of the range, which would be our 68.10. So basically the exact same game plan as yesterday, but now we're just basing it off of, right, the Friday's highs instead of our Friday's lows. So keep an eye out for the reaction off our Friday's highs coming to this week. As I mentioned, upside, there's really a couple scenarios. Break above our Friday's highs right off the bat for continuation higher. If we reject off this level, but maintain above our previous day highs, we could be looking for the reclaim later into the session. If we have a sharp rejection right off this level, rejects off our Friday's highs, rejects off our previous day highs as well, then we could be looking for a trade back down in towards our previous day close, as I mentioned. So this is what we have for the ES coming into market open here today. As for the SPY chart, fairly similar game plan. The key levels that we have marked out on the SPY, as you can see here, we end up having a nice bounce yesterday right off our key levels, 676. So you can see buyers stepped in right off the bat after we had that nice pop and fade. Now you can see on the SPY chart, the key levels that we're going to have marked out here is just going to be our Friday's highs of last week. So if we do want to see any sort of upside, exact same game plan, we need to maintain above our Friday's highs, which is our 686, or we like to see it maintain above our previous day highs, which is our 685. So both these scenarios are in play for a potential move up in towards our 689 coming into market open. As for some downside, as I mentioned, key level here is just going to be our 685. So if we reject off this level, we get back underneath our previous day highs, then we could see a push down in towards our gap fill, which is going to be this 683. So this is what we have for the SPY coming into today. Now let's go on to the QQQ. Okay, so for the Qs here, very similar game plan. The levels are a little bit more cleaner here on the NQ. As you can see, the levels that we have marked out is really just our Friday's lows along with our Friday's highs of last week. Yesterday, nice push towards the downside right off the bat. Nice kind of pop and fade after filling its gap. But ultimately, buyers end up stepping in, reclaim back above our Friday's lows of last week. And now we're pushing back up and towards our Friday's highs. So coming to market open here today, the level is going to be fairly clear. Similar thing to the ES and the SPY. If you do want to see some upside today, break above our Friday's highs, retest of this level for continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario here is going to be the hold above our previous day highs. So we could be looking for the break above our 24,900 for this continued push back towards the upside here as well. So similar thing, two scenarios for upside above our last week's Friday's highs, or now it's going to be above our previous day highs and hold above that level for this push higher. The only way we can see potential downside here is if we get this sharp rejection. The higher time frame is technically still in a downtrend. So if we get this nice pop and fade, as I mentioned, we can be looking for this reversal trade back down in towards our previous day close. So this is what we have for the downside, as I mentioned, right? Higher time frame is still bearish, right? Intraday now, we're trending a little bit more towards the upside just based off of yesterday's price action. But if we have a super strong rejection right off the bat, I wouldn't be opposed to looking for this gap fill short back towards the downside. So you can see if I go into the Qs, we're going to have what's called a gap. Kind of similar thing to yesterday, we had a gap in the charts. So yesterday, right off the bat, you can see we had this nice gap fill towards the upside. Similar thing today, we're going to gap up into a key level of resistance. So if we can reject off this 605, we can see this potential reversal down in towards our 601. So the key level for the Qs coming into market open, and what I have marked out here is really our last week's lows, which is our Friday's lows of last week. And then of course we have our Friday's highs. So coming into today, as I mentioned, if we can break above, retest our 606, we could be looking for continuation higher. Another possible scenario, if we maintain above our previous day highs, buyers step in, we could be looking for longs above our 605. If we reject, this is the scenario I personally like coming to market open, is the rejection off our 606/605. If we can get strong sellers to step in here coming to market open, I would be interested in this potential gap fill short back down in towards that 601. Since the higher time frame, as I mentioned, is technically still bearish, until we can break above our 606 on the hourly chart, I'm going to maintain a bearish stance. So if we look at this on the hourly time frame, just to quickly show you guys, if we can break above and hold above, then I'm going to flip bullish and we could be looking for this reversal trade. But technically right now we're still bearish. As you can see, lower highs are being built. So if we do reject off this area, I'd be interested in this short. Similar thing here with the ES, right? ES is trying to break above this key pivot high, but if we reject off this level, I'm interested in this short lower. If we break above and hold above, then we can be looking for longs back up and towards your 69.30. So that's what we have here on the major indices coming into market open. Key level is just going to be our Friday's highs of last week on both the SPY and the QQQ. Now I'm going to go on to the SMH. If you guys do have any charts, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. Okay, so as you can see here for the SMH, the SMH is very much still intact here on the higher time frames. Right, higher lows are being built. We had this previous level of resistance turn into support. Now what we like to see is kind of this cup and handle form and push up in towards our 420 here on the higher time frames. So as you can see here for the SMH, the key levels that we have marked out is our 410. Our 410 here is key. As you can see right here, what we have is your key level of resistance. If you can maintain above your 410, we could be looking for now your all-time highs. So some of the semis, we're going to be leading them way towards the upside here. Just keep an eye out on your 410 previous day highs for continuation higher. Multiple touches here on Friday, Thursday of last week, and of course now on Monday. As long as you can maintain above 410, continuation up in towards our 418. So that's what we have for the SMH coming to market open. If we go on to the IWM, this one's really just been consolidating here on the hourly time frame. As you can see, just a lot of consolidation in between your high and low of the markets. 258 along with this 269. Key level that we have marked out here is our 265. If we can break above 265, which is equilibrium, push back up and towards our 269 here is in play. If we reject off this level, we can see a push right back down in towards that 260. So this is what we have for the IWM coming to market open. As for the overall markets, a nice bounce so far. Of course, SMH is leading the way higher. We'll talk about a couple of the semis here. NVIDIA actually looks fairly solid. So we'll talk about here NVIDIA here in a second. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers now, you guys can drop them in the chat. I'm now going to go on to Tesla and we'll make our way down. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. Morning, Jack. How much did you risk on Tesla? Tesla usually risk on average around $5,000 to $7,000 per trade. Let's see, $7 move. It's not about risk to reward. If you know how to trade options, risk to reward is not fixed. It's exponential. So if you're trading, let's say futures, or trading stocks, right? It's a fixed risk to reward. When you're trading options, it's not fixed risk to reward. It also depends on the expiration. So if you're playing Wednesday's expirations, right, the contracts move over 100%. So right, 100% in about 10 to 50, or I think it was 20 minutes, 10 to 50, 100% in over 20 minutes. And it also depends on the expiration, as I mentioned. Can you please elaborate more on how you draw the rectangles? I have a full video, so if you go on to the free daily watch list and you join, I technically have a Telegram. I actually pinned the video in that chat, so you can go back and watch that. It's an unlisted live stream video, so you can go back and watch that if you like. Okay, let's first talk about Tesla. All right, so Tesla yesterday, nice pop and fade towards the downside right off the bat underneath our previous day lows. Ultimately, nice bounce here off our 400. And then we ended up having a nice push back up and towards our 410. So coming into market open here today. So the key levels that we have on Tesla, I kind of refined the levels. So I kind of removed the main level that we had yesterday. But for Tesla, the key level that we have marked out is just going to be our 416. That's kind of our main level here on the higher time frames. And I can drag this over. So our 414, this is the level that we have marked out yesterday. As you can see, touch here on Thursday, another touch here on Friday, and as you can see, multiple touches here as well. So just basically right back at this retest level, you can see rejected right off the bat, another touch here and a couple touches here in the pre-market. So coming into market open, let's just keep an eye out on our 412 coming into today. Not as interested in shorts as after we had this nice bounce yesterday. But the key level here is, of course, going to be that 412. If we reject off this level, we can see a potential move down in towards our 408. Other key levels here are 406 towards the downside. If we do reclaim back above, so this is a key area, as I mentioned. If you go back onto the hourly time frame, you can see how many touches we have off this general area. If we can reclaim back above this 414, we can see a push back up in towards our 422. A rejection, we can see a push down in towards our 406. So this is our key level, exact same area as yesterday. So keep an eye out on Tesla once again, right off that 414. which is going to be key. As for Nvidia, so Nvidia is one of my main watches coming to market open. We did have some news yesterday in the after hours, but this one on the higher time frames is looking fairly solid. So as you can see here, we're kind of just consolidating. So we're consolidating inside of a range in between our 194 along with our 170. Middle of the range here is our 184. If we do maintain above the middle of the range, which currently you can see buyers are stepping in, and we can push back up and towards this 194, there's a good chance we could potentially break above this 194. I know we've tested this level multiple times, but as you can see, we tested it 3 times already. So now let's go back onto the lower time frames. So for Nvidia, the key levels coming to today is going to be our Friday's highs of last week. So you can see this is the area that we end up turning into support once we broke underneath a resistance, but now we're trying to get back above our Friday's highs. We can see a nice push up in towards our 194. So the key levels that we have coming to market open here is going to be that previous day highs along with this 187.50. So as long as we can maintain above our 188, which is our after hours high, that's going to be key. Potentially we can see a push down in towards our previous day highs, and we could be looking for continuation towards the upside. Or now if buyers did want to step in right off the bat aggressively, we can be looking for your pre-market high retest off our 189.50. So this is what we have for Nvidia coming to market open. As I mentioned, this is going to be one of my main watches, just because we're now trying to break it back above this 187.50. We had some news in the after hours, so this could be one of my key watches coming into today. So let's keep an eye out for Nvidia for a potential move up and towards our 194. That's going to be one of the main levels today. As for AMD, nice kind of pop and fade right off our previous day lows yesterday as well. This one ended up having a nice bounce. So nice bounce here, but ultimately some after hours news dropping this towards the downside. Key levels that we have marked out now is just going to be that 195. So 195 is our gap level. You can see multiple touches here. If we break underneath our 195, AMD is actually in a very key spot. So as you can see here, if I was to draw out a key level of support, kind of making this higher time frame, we originally had this W-shaped recovery, but we had this rejection here off our all-time highs. Now if we actually break underneath, so far we're kind of rejecting off our earnings gap fill. If we break underneath this key level of support, which we've touched multiple times, as you can see, this is our 194. We do actually have a room towards the downside, which is that full gap fill that we created all the way back from October of last year. This happened to do with the OpenAI gap up. If we break underneath this 195, we can see this potential reversal trade. Of course, if buyers step in, we can see this push back up and towards our 220, which we already did and we rejected. So for AMD, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside compared to the rest of the ticker. So key level here for AMD is going to be now just your 195. So coming to market open, best shorts are going to be, of course, off our 204, low risk. As you can see, multiple touches. So you're either looking for that pop and fade off our 204 for continuation lower, or now you're going to be looking for your previous day low retest underneath your 195 for this continuation towards the downside. Longs are only in play, either the strong bounce here off our 196, or now you're going to be looking for longs above your 205. So that's what we have for AMD coming to market open. As for Apple, we talked about this one being in a good spot. You can see nice buyers stepped in yesterday. Apple was one of the tickers that led the market back towards the upside. Key level, once it got above, was our 260. Nice kind of break and retest above our 260 for continuation. Now the key levels that you're going to have marked out on Apple is still going to be this 260 along with our earnings high. So Apple, if you do want to see some upside here, at a minimum above your previous day highs for continuation. I personally like it above our 268. Another possible scenario, it could retest down in towards that 260 for a bounce play. Apple's going to be a little bit more of a trickier name today after this nice bounce, right? Still technically a 50% retracement, so I don't like Apple as much after having really big move lower, and then now we're just kind of back inside of the range. So just be a little bit more cautious on Apple today. As for Google, pop and fade coming to market open. Now the key levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be that 304. Our 304 here is going to be key rejection off our 304. We can see this push towards our 300 key psych, reclaim back above our 305. We can see a push up and towards our 309. So this is what we have for Google coming into market open here today. As for Microsoft, really not much to talk about on these names, right? Microsoft, Meta, Google, really just kind of right at our earnings low. So for Microsoft, some buyers stepped in right off our key level, trying to reclaim back above our 398. Ultimately, this is still in a downtrend. So break back underneath, you can see a push down in towards our 394. Longs, if you're on the hourly chart, right, you personally like to see at a minimum, right, buyer step in, break back above this 406. As for Meta, as you can see, this one's coming back down in towards our earnings low. Nice pop here in the after hours. Meta had a partnership with NVIDIA, of course, but this one now fading back towards the downside. If we do break back underneath, hold underneath this 638, we can see a push all the way down in towards that 630. So for Meta, key levels coming into today, let's actually just mark this out, is going to be that 638 coming into today. And then for Amazon, Amazon actually had a nice bounce after bouncing off our earnings low, right back in towards our key level, which is our 205. This one's still in a downtrend. So you could be looking for Amazon potential fade coming into market open for this push right back down in towards this 198. So for Amazon, most of these tickers are still technically bearish here. The only thing that looks bullish is Nvidia. Besides that, most of these other tickers still staying heavy. Apple in the middle of the range. So coming into today, I'm still fairly neutral here on the higher time frames. The higher time frames, I'm actually bearish. Intraday, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the upside. So we'll be like waiting for the potential rejection coming to market open. As for Netflix, key level that we have marked out is our 77, of course. This one had some news, immediate rejection off our key levels yesterday. But Netflix key level here is going to be your 7720. So that's what we have for Netflix. If we break back underneath, we can see this push down in towards our 7580. So that's what we have coming to market open. I'm going to quickly go over my game plan. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. So coming to market open here with the SPY and Qs, as I mentioned, the only bullish higher time frame that I do like is going to be NVIDIA. The rest of the tickers, I'm leaning a little bit more bearish, and we're going to be looking for the potential pop and fade coming to market open. As you can see here for the SMH, the SMH is one of the only tickers that looks very bullish. So that's why some of the semis are still holding up. If you're looking at this one on the higher time frames, you can see right higher lows are being built here on the SMH. If we can maintain above key levels, we can see a push towards all-time highs compared to the Qs, right? If you're just looking at these semis, right, Qs looks closer to the low of the range. SPY, a little bit of a pullback, right? Closer to the low of the range. Actually, we ended up having a bounce yesterday. As for the SMH, this one's closer to the high of the range. So the semis are still holding up. NVIDIA looks good. We'll go on to a couple other semis here in a second. But semis, as long as you can maintain above 410, that's going to be our key level moving forward. As I mentioned, NVIDIA is going to be the top watch for some upside coming to market open. The rest of the names, I'm a little bit more neutral on. All right, let's go on to a few other tickers here. Palantir. So Palantir, nice bounce off our key level support yesterday. Key level that we have marked out was our 128. Buyers actually stepped in off our 128, and we end up having this nice bounce back up and towards now. It's going to be that 136. So 136 is going to be key here coming to market open. If we can break above, let's go into the hourly chart. So as you can see here on Palantir, if we can break back above and hold above our 136, we can see this nice reversal here back up in towards our 140 and potentially that 142 and above, as long as you can now maintain above this 136. So that's going to be key here for Palantir coming to market open. The rejection, fade, we can see this push right back down in towards our previous day close. So let's keep an eye out on Palantir coming to market open here now today. Area is going to be that 136 based off of the higher time frames. As for a few other tickers that we have coming to market open, let's go on to MU. This one's just consolidating here. I do like MU. As you can see here on the daily chart, what we're creating is just this higher time frame wedge pattern. So we're just consolidating here now on the daily time frame. We like to see the break above, continuation towards the upside. Let's go back onto the hourly chart. As for MU, key level here is going to be that 396. So as you can see, buyers are stepping in. This is the exact level that we broke out from. We either like to see buyers step in here, offer 396, or now it's going to be the break back above our 412 for any sort of continued pushback towards the upside. As for a few other tickers that I do like, keep an eye out on TSM today. Right, higher time frame still very much intact for a continued push higher. If we look at this on the daily chart here as well, right, higher lows are being built. So keep an eye out on TSM for a push back up and towards our all-time highs. Key levels that we have marked out is going to be our 367. Let me actually just readjust this. So we have our previous day highs here, which is basically our 366. And now what we can also mark out here is going to be that Friday's highs, which is going to be that 370. So these are the levels that I have coming into today here on TSM. What we like to see is two things. Previous day high retest for a continuation up and towards our 370, or now it's going to be above our 371. We can see this push up and towards, now it's going to be this 379. So this is what we have on TSM coming to market open for some upside. Intel, this one pulling back is just kind of consolidating here at the low of the range, but this is a good retest level here on Intel. The key levels is going to be that 50, which is the top of the range. Now Intel is gravitating towards the bottom of the range. So this is a good low risk add for a potential pushback up and towards our 50 key psych. So I do like Intel here. Other levels that you can have marked out today is just going to be our previous day highs. We can kind of drag this one over. So for Intel, low risk buys off our 4520, or now it's going to be above our previous day highs for continuation. As for SNDK, a little bit of news yesterday. So we had some news, SNDK with Western Digital, some other news as well. But SNDK is slowing down here on the higher time frames. So as you can see, right, consolidation. So a lot of these semis are slowing down. MU, SNDK, TSM, Intel. So a lot of these semis plus memory slowing down on the higher time frames or just in consolidation. So if we're looking at really just the SMH in itself, NVIDIA looks like one of the best names towards the upside. Besides that, you kind of have Palantir. A lot of these ones are still in a downtrend. As I mentioned, I do like NVIDIA the best. But as for something like SNDK, we're just kind of ranging. So if you're looking for low risk buys, you want to be buying close to support, which in this case is closer down into that 550. So that's what we have for SNDK. As for a couple names here, a couple other names that we can go over, AVGO. This one, right? A lot of these ones, or if you're looking at this on the daily time frame, right? AVGO consolidation here as well. I do like AVGO. So as you can see, buyers stepped in after we end up having that nice gap fill. We just like to see, right, higher lows be built. You can see a lot more consolidation, kind of similar to NVIDIA here. So a lot of these names have been a little bit more difficult to trade just based off the higher time frames since we have had a lot of consolidation. But all we're waiting for on NVIDIA is eventually once we do get that break above our 194, we can see this push back up and towards our all-time highs, which is going to be key. So that's what we have for NVIDIA, at least for today. Let's kind of go over the game plan coming to market open. So the game plan is just going to be the reaction that we have off our Friday's highs. What I would like to see personally is the pop and fade for this push down and towards our gap fill. This is my number one scenario for the SPY and Qs coming to market open, is going to be the pop and fade for a push right down and towards our previous day close and potentially the 600 key cycle level. The only way I'll flip bullish is, let's say within the first 5 minutes, 5 to 15 minutes, we break above our Friday's highs, hold above our Friday's highs, and we can see some buyers step in off this really 606 for continuation. Only way I'm going to flip bullish. Similar thing here with SPY. I'm going to be looking for this rejection and this potential reversal coming to market open. That's going to be the number one game plan. If we break above, hold above our 686, then I'll flip a little bit more bullish intraday, and potentially we can be looking for longs back towards the upside. But I am leaning more towards the downside just based off the higher time frames. And until we can break above our 686, I'm going to be leaning more towards the lows. As for my main watches coming to today, with that being said, right, we're going to be a little bit more patient on Nvidia, just because, right, the higher time frame is technically still bearish on these SPY and Qs. But at least for Nvidia, I do like this one on the hourly chart, right? Higher lows are being built on this one. We're reclaiming back above key levels. If the SMH wants to find some buyers, plus if the SPY and Qs wants to find some buyers above its previous day highs, Nvidia is going to be my main watch for some upside. So I'll be keeping an eye out on Nvidia above our previous day highs for continuation. Besides that, on every other ticker, I'm more neutral. I'm going to be open and playing both sides, right? Tesla, I wouldn't mind going for previous day high retest for continuation higher, or the potential previous day highs rejection. AMD, I'm actually leaning a little bit more towards the downside here on AMD just based off the higher time frames. So if we can get some sort of right opening range short, we could be looking for a push down in towards our previous day lows. As for everything else, I'm more neutral on. So main watch is Nvidia, of course, towards the upside. And besides that, fairly neutral on names like AMD, Tesla, Apple, neutral. The rest of the market's fairly neutral as well. Meta is actually leaning more towards the downside, of course. And then Palantir, I actually do like Palantir above our 136. So really not too much I'm interested in today. The primary watch, of course, is going to be NVIDIA. But besides that, we're going to be a little bit more patient today with this SPY and Qs right at a key level. And yeah, besides that, that's most likely going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. So if you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. Please post those hour-long live videos. Yes. How many cons did you use when you start trading in the initial? They're very small. If you guys look back, I was trading, right, 3 to 5 cons. Of course, the contracts were a lot more expensive back in the day, but I was trading with very small position size, right, around 3 to 5 cons, and then gradually, slowly sized my way up. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.